500 CEOs were asked what the number one skill was that was needed in the workforce today. Emotional intelligence was the number one answer. 75% of individuals completely derail their career because of a lack of emotional and social intelligence. And research is showing that in the next 3 to 5 years, EQ is going to increase by 26%, the demand for it in workplaces around the world. Emotional intelligence isn't going anywhere, but unfortunately, most individuals and most workplaces really don't have a strong understanding of what it is. Hi everyone, my name is Natalina Nastradine. I'm the CEO and founder of Rise Up For You, and welcome to Rise Up For You TV, where we are helping you and your team push your potential to be your absolute best by teaching the soft skills that are actually pretty difficult to help you be competitive, to be seen, to be heard, and to be relevant in today's workplace. Today's topic is all about emotional and social intelligence, one of my personal favorite skills to talk about because it is so much more robust than people realize and think it is. Today, I'm just going to start off pretty simple. I'm going to break down the 4 pillars of emotional intelligence and what this looks like in the workplace, meaning how can it manifest and what can it actually do to benefit me or potentially take away from me and my team. All right, so let's jump in. 4 pillars to emotional intelligence: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. Those are the 4 pillars. But here's the really cool part about emotional intelligence. There's actually another 18 competencies. Yes, 18 competencies that fall under those 4 pillars. So for self-awareness, you have 3 competencies, which I'll break down. Self-management, you have 6. Social awareness, you have 3. And relationship management, you have 6, equaling 18 different competencies that make up in total what EQ or EI actually stands for. Fun fact, for those of you that don't know, emotional and quotient is EQ, emotional intelligence is EI, they mean the same thing. So in this video today, I'm just gonna break down the basics. Otherwise, we'll be here all day, but don't worry. I'll bring more videos in so that you can continue to learn. Let's talk about the 4 pillars alone: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. Now, notice how the first 2 pillars have self in there, meaning the first 2 pillars are only about you. How aware are you and how well do you manage yourself, versus pillars 3 and 4, which are about you and how you play with other people. Social awareness and relationship management. Now, relationship management is all about leadership, your ability to influence and make an impact. Notice how it's the very last pillar. Why? Because Peter Salovey and John Mayer, not the musician, they were smart enough to know that in order to lead people, to coach, to influence, we had to start with the self first. So let's go back to self-awareness. There's 3 competencies under self-awareness. Self-awareness is all about being able to be aware of the emotions that you think and feel, being able to label them, understanding your strengths and your weaknesses, and having the self-confidence and the self-worth to take action. I can spend all day on this pillar alone. In fact, I wrote a best-selling book right behind me on this first pillar, self-confidence and being aware of your emotions so that you can push yourself in your potential. Because let's be real here, if we want to be leaders, if we want to make an impact in the world, self-awareness is going to be the first skill and pillar we need in order to get there. So how does this look in the workplace? Well, imagine a team member comes up to you and says, "I'm angry." What's the next question you ask? It's typically, "Why are you angry?" But now imagine if a team member that had high self-awareness came up to you and said, "I feel really frustrated from that meeting. I felt unheard. I felt unseen. I raised my hand multiple times and I was overlooked, and I felt like I didn't add any value to that meeting and that it wasn't noticed or valued." That's a lot more information. Now, as a leader, you can take that information and communicate more effectively. So just because the team member had heightened self-awareness, her or his communication skills went to a whole new level, which now allows you as a leader to communicate differently. Now imagine you're the one that's expressing yourself. Maybe you've tried to do this. Maybe you've tried to express yourself to your leader or to your spouse, which, by the way, emotional intelligence is not just limited to the workplace. The more emotional awareness we have, the more self-awareness we have, the more capacity we have to communicate effectively. Now let's talk a little bit about self-confidence, which is still under pillar number 1. Imagine that your leader comes up to you and gives you feedback. How many times have you received feedback about an email, maybe a project that you're on, and all you can hear is, I'm not enough, I suck, they're gonna fire me, I'm not enough, I suck, they're gonna fire me, right? And that's because we struggle with self-confidence. And so anytime we receive feedback, the feedback becomes personal versus becoming about the thing. So pillar number one, emotional intelligence, is incredibly important because it's going to impact the way that you communicate and how you feel about yourself. Now let's move on to pillar number two, self-management. I always say the difference between self-awareness and self-management is self-awareness is I understand that the ice cream is bad for me. I'm completely aware that if I eat this ice cream, it's gonna hurt my stomach. And self-management is I'm gonna eat it anyways, right? So we're not able to manage ourselves fully and accurately. So self-management is being able to stay disciplined, having internal motivation, having a set of standards for yourself, and being driven despite the external factors that happen around you. It's also about growth mindset and believing in your ability to learn even when you don't know what you're dealing with or what's at hand. Self-management also includes stress management and burnout, which, as you know, is one of the biggest challenges today. It's creating little systems in your life, creating little algorithms in your life so that you can manage yourself so that your behaviors are positive versus negative. Now let's move on to pillars number 3 and 4. This is the fun part. This is where we now get to socialize with other people, communicate with other people, lead, coach. Pillar number 3 is social awareness. This is all things empathy, active listening, cultural awareness, tolerance, being able to read a room. Now, I will say that if self-management is struggling, meaning that you're not able to manage yourself, you're struggling with stress, maybe you're lacking motivation, social awareness can be very difficult because you won't have the capacity to think what I say 360, meaning that you're able to examine everything that's going on in the room. You have the capacity to really study and observe the person that's in front of you. If you're still stuck in pillars number 1 and 2, self-awareness and self-management, you don't have the bandwidth to actually observe and connect with the person that's sitting in front of you. And lastly, pillar number 4 is relationship management. This is all things leadership, the ability to influence, the ability to coach, the ability to problem solve, the ability to take yourself out of the equation and look at the big picture of what's happening and then modifying your energy and your skills accordingly to serve everyone. Now, again, in order for us to lead and to coach effectively and to manage, we have to have some strong self-awareness and self-management so that we have the capacity and the bandwidth to influence, to coach, and to lead our team effectively. So, as I mentioned earlier in today's show, emotional intelligence is the number 1 driver today for your success. Of course, your technical skills are incredibly important, but I always say, if I have 2 resumes that are sitting in front of me and they both have the same degree, the same credential, and they both do the same thing, who am I going to choose? Your emotional intelligence is going to be the thing that keeps you in the game, that helps you grow in your career, make more money, build your success, and overall create a thriving life and organization. Stay tuned for the next series of videos because we're going to be elaborating on each pillar even further. I hope that helped. All right, I'll see you next time.